This is day 23 of communication with ChatGPT. So let's spin her. Morning, ChatGPT.
Good morning, Knock. How's it going?
Everything's fine. Today I want to practice giving my answer based on structure, like three steps, two types, one thing. And I want you to guide me through some question and give feedback based on my answer. So can we do that?
Absolutely. That sounds like a solid plan. What's the first question you'd like to tackle?
Anything you asked, especially with question about my work, data engineer.
Great. Let's start with this. Can you describe a challenging project you've worked on recently and how you handled it? Remember to break it down into 3 steps or key points.
My challenging recent project is LACE. Um, so we have to enable end-to-end flows from multiple sources to CIM Salesforce, and there are some there are three main challenges. First, the sources are uh, diverse, and we have to enable it by enable many pattern to through data lake and serve to the CIM. So we build efficient framework for that. Second, some job took longer. I mean, we have to optimize those using some spark optimization techniques, and that and the final one is after enabling the job, we have to spend effort monitoring those, and sometimes we have to backfill those data, and that basically three main challenge with the work.
Great job outlining the challenges. It was clear and structured. For the next time, try to summarize each challenge in a single sentence before elaborating. Overall, your explanation was solid. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Ready for another question?
I'm ready for the next question.
All right, can you tell me about a time when you had to quickly learn a new technology for a project? Walk me through your process.
Okay, when I first joined my team, there were also a requirement which forced us to stream data near real time. So, and our framework is not supported yet. And my task was, POC a solution and embedded it into the framework. So so I, what I did was, I our framework is currently using Spark based, and I'm so I prefer Spark structure streaming over Flink or other streaming data processing platform, because our use case only need near real time. It doesn't have to be streaming. So I did some experiment. I and after the POC works, I in I embedded it into the framework, and now it's served for many cases, um, sourcing from MSK topics or Kafka based to the data lake. So that's how I learned Spark structure streaming.
Nice work. You clearly explained your process of choosing and integrating Spark structured streaming. To make it even clearer, consider breaking it into 3 steps: identifying the requirement, evaluating options, and implementing the solution. Overall, I'd rate your response a 6. Ready for another question?
Yes.
Great. How about this? Tell me about a time when you faced a tight deadline. What steps did you take to ensure you met it?
Recently, we have to enable a new product flow, and so and the deadline was really tight because we have to do it from the business requirement to the release in only one sprint for the whole flow. And what I and our team is a small team, so my action was first I involved in the business requirement clarification to have some understanding about the business and to effectively give some technical perspective. Second, I involved in the BA mapping and the um, and and the data modeling to ensure that I understand correctly or advise back to the BA if they miss anything. Third, I after developing myself, I work with the tester to guide them how to test or what the business or the technical side of it. And finally, I and finally I I have to take overtime work hours to finish the job, and I know that, and that's basically four things I do to mitigate the risk of not meeting the deadline.
You did well covering the steps you took. It's great that you were involved from business requirement clarification to testing. To improve, try summarizing each step more concisely and focusing on key actions. Overall, I'd give this response a 6. Keep it up.
Okay, I'm ready for the next question.
All right, let's do this. Can you describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder? What was the situation and how did you handle it?
So there was a time when, so we are the middle components. We receive message from upstream stakeholder, and we consume and transform and process and serve to the downstream stakeholder. And when working with upstream stakeholder, there was some there was some um, burden here because the holder was kind of slow and ignored our requirements, and they and we to meet the timeline. Essentially, um, we have to flexibly enforce them to sign off with us, align with us, so that we can have something to work on. So what we did was we host some meetings to clarify the business requirement and the message structure that they give us. And even though after every meeting we have to send the emails to the upstream stakeholder for they to confirm and work on that. So after that, if they change the requirement, we have some kind of evidence to push back to them. So that basically three main thing I did for to deal with hard stakeholder. First, have a meeting with them. Second, have an email afterward. And third, having push back them if they violate the email, and we kind of have some evidence here.
Great approach. You clearly outlined 3 main steps: hosting meetings, following up with emails, and pushing back with evidence. To improve, focus on simplifying your language and keeping each step concise. Overall, I'd rate this response a 7. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right, can you share an example of a time you improved a process at work? What was the process? What changes did you make? and what was the outcome?
At our current team, we have multiple uh, multiple data pipeline to monitor and manage, and each time we have to um, develop new pipeline, or we have to um, backfill some pipeline. mm, it gives us some overhead, and we have to look at all the existing pipeline to have our idea. And for me personally, it took me about 30 to 1 hour minute 30 minutes to 1 hour per week. And what I did was I centralized those data pipeline into um, one document, so that our team can quickly look it up and make decision based on those, and it saves us time and energy, uh, which can be used in something else. So that basically what I did.
That's a smart move. Centralizing the data pipelines into one document is a great way to streamline processes and save time. Next time, you could specify how this change impacted your team's productivity. Overall, I'd give this response a 7. Great job.
I am ready for the final question.
Awesome. Can you tell me about a time you faced a technical challenge and how you overcame it? Walk me through the problem and your solution.
When I working at my previous team, there was a problem that we our sourcing job is based on glue, and we have some, and those glue is spawned in a VPC. So and those VPC, so every time a new glue spawn, a glue job spawn, it spin up some machines, and those machine took some available IPs, and is and during peak hour, many glue job running at the same time. So we encounter some error, like our IPs, available IPs in the VPC, because our VPC seed here is slash 26, and so it had about maybe uh, 500 available IPs at one time. So what I did was, first troubleshoot the after I troubleshoot the problem, I bring on um, I bring on three approach. For short term approach, there are two. First, I reschedule the job so that they are evenly distributed during the night, not running in the same hour. Second, I implement the back-off retry mechanism into the step function, so that if the close job fail, it will be exponentially back off and run at a different time when the IP is more sufficient. And we finally I did big migration from the current VPC to the new VPC with more available IP. So the CD is slash 24, and so we have about 3,000 IPs, and the migration took us a lot of communication and conversations with um, other stakeholders to
Explaining the
to open ports, and to uh, run the sub security group for the VPC. But overall, that's how we deal with one technical problem.
Great job explaining the technical challenge and solutions. You laid out the problem, the steps you took, and the outcome clearly. For an even better response, you could briefly summarize the impact of your solutions at the end. Overall, I'd rate this a solid 8. Well done.
Thank you very much. I think it's all for today, and I want to say goodbye.
You're welcome. Have a great day, Nock. Talk to you later.
Sure.